Thank you everyone for turning up tonight. My name's Dylan McCarthy. I'm going to talk to you about .NET 9 SDK. So unit tests, workloads, and containers, oh my. Who am I? I'm a principal engineer at Versent and a Microsoft MVP in Developer Tools, which means that I don't code as much as I used to, but I get to play around with things, break things, and see what happens. Primarily day-to-day, I do a lot of cloud stuff, so Azure, platform engineering, DevOps, and DevX. But I'm also used to do be a .NET developer, so that's why I still play with all this stuff anyway in my spare time. And super passionate about AI, things like that. Cool. So we're just going to do a quick lightning round through what the changes are for the .NET 9 SDK, and then I'm actually going to show you some of them rather than just sit there with more slides. So quickly, we've got some improvements with unit testing. So running test executions in parallel across frameworks. I'll explain a bit more in a demo about what that is. Enhanced terminal logger. So we're actually going to be able to see more information in the terminal, and it's going to look nicer rather than plain old boring logger that we used to have. And test result reporting has improved as well. This is also outside of Visual Studio. So Visual Studio, you get like all the nice little tests and they show you which ones passed and stuff. I'm going to show it to you on the CLI. So .NET tool updates. So there's the new allow roll forward flag, which allows you to roll forward your updates. So you're actually getting things like you can do previews and stuff like that, and push things forward, which can then, again, lead you to break things. But that's kind of the point. You want to be pushing things forward to see what's breaking to prepare for when you do need to do an upgrade. So back to terminal logger stuff. So again, we're going out with colors. There are colors in the CLI. So that's a big step. Some build features. So there's the new build check system. So there's a check system with MS Build now. So you can actually go and see errors and dependencies and do some checking on your project files to actually see if there's something in there which is broken. Because that can sometimes be a bit hidden when you're like, why is my stuff not compiling? And it's hidden deep inside all your kind of like property groups and things like that. So analyze the mismatch handling. So again, looking for those mismatches within project files and build script validations. NuGet. So NuGet improvements on comprehensive security audits. So the checking of that supply chain within your NuGet properties. Faster dependency resolution, which is really good if you have giant projects. So we're seeing speed up within that. So that better scalability. New workload set feature. So I'll demo this one as much as I can. It's a bit finicky, but it does look really cool with the ability to be able to keep your workloads in step now with a certain version of .NET. So if you need all your developers on one version, you can then say, okay, here's the version we're using. Everyone can set that, and then you ensure everyone's at the same version. There's also a history tracker to tell you what you've done with that workload. So if you have done an upgrade, something's broke, you can go look at the history. What version did I update to? What happened? Container support. So there's updated environmental variables. So they're changing the name on some of the environmental variables. They're keeping the old ones for now, but that eventually will become a breaking change. So it's just changing from, I think it was ASP.NET Core or ASP Core or something, and now it's going to just be .NET. So, but that's all good. And then some code analysis. So there's new analyzers, which will have a series of new errors and things like that that come out. Cool. So most of that stuff is all available on the .NET 9 What's New section in the SDK section. But I'd rather show you some stuff rather than just sit here with some slides. So let's go for some live demos. Now, I'll preface this. These all worked before I tested them. They may not work now because it has been a bit finicky with some of these things. I am using dev containers for all of this. So this is all going to be based on Linux, so Debian 12. But what we're going to look at first is the unit test demo. So first version here, I'm not running inside the dev container just yet, but we have an application here. So it's a library, and it's just got a bunch of some functions. some methods here, which are going to run some methods, which are going to take a little bit of time. And this is running .NET Standard 2.1 as a library. And what I have here is a test project that's going to test over .NET 8, .NET 7, and .NET 6. So we're testing multiple frameworks to ensure that the library is working across all these frameworks. And we just got a very basic unit test. So we do a .NET test here. Yeah. Zoom it in. Yep, certainly. And that better for everyone? One more? One more? There we go. Okay, cool. So we're now running the tests. And this is the traditional what we've seen with .NET 8. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to run a test, and that's going to pass. And then we're going to go to the next framework, and we're going to run some more tests, and they're going to pass. But it is taking a fair bit of time here. I mean, these tests, like, yes, the methods are literally taking 1 minute and 30 seconds, things like that. But we know this is a bit slow. So I'm not going to wait for that, so we're just going to cancel that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to rebuild and open this in our fancy container. And if you haven't played around with dev containers, this is a reason to do so. You can so quickly move between different versions of things by having different containers with different SDK levels and all that kind of fun stuff. So we'll just wait for that to go ahead and build. Okay. So the dev container is going ahead to build. It is going to go and get the latest version of .NET 9. If you do use dev containers and you are using the .NET 9 version, update straight away because it's still in the release candidate, not on the GA version. So you have to go ahead and run the update command again. And hello, Copilot. Don't need you right at the moment. And it's going to, of course, go and download on the Wi-Fi. If you're interested in the way that works, this is a post create command. So after your dev container is created, it's gone ahead and run that update command. And problems loading project, sure. We'll sit here and watch as the SDK installs. Getting there. Almost. Go through all the tagging pack. There's your app host. So Spire's in there. Okay, cool. And it's going to grab, so with this version, I am also grabbing all the previous SDKs as well, because we're running across multiple frameworks. We need all those SDKs installed. So you can see here, I've got 9, 8, 7, and 6 all being installed. But again, it's all going to be the same stuff. I don't need DevKit right now. Oop, I've managed to drag my terminal over there. Thank you, terminal, for deciding to drag. Go back here. Sure. We'll split there. Of course, this part takes a lot of time. I was hoping the container had remembered itself, but clearly not. Okay, cool. So we're at .NET 7. If anyone have any questions on this, just while we're waiting for it to decide to finish installing .NET 7. I haven't shown you too much yet, so maybe not too much for questions yet. Come on.
Are you on the Wi-Fi or hotspot?
Wi-Fi, so, you know, it's taking its time. Okay. All my other demos are also in containers, so this will be fun. All right, come on. .NET 7 done. And it's doing 6. All right. 6 should hopefully be smaller. They are meant to be, but it decided not to cache. So when I did the problem was I had too many containers and I did a clear cache earlier, and I don't think this one I reran afterwards. But that's right, we're almost done. We're on .NET 6. Finish unpacking. Yeah,
Right.
goes backwards. Starts at the high. There we go. Hooray! Lab demo done. All right. Cool. So now on to the thing that I actually want to show you. So now we are, I'll just first of all prove it. We are on .NET version 9. Okay, so now we're going to build. It's good to think about building. It's trying to build. There we go. And here we go. Now we are compiling and we are testing in parallel. So we're now not waiting for each of those versions of the framework to test. It's now going to test them all at the same time. Also, you've noticed when it was building, it built them all at the same time as well. So you've got parallel build, and now you have parallel test across frameworks. And you can also see we have colors within our IDE. So now we can actually see those things have succeeded, failed, much nicer kind of CLI experience. So there we go. That was parallel execution of tests in CLI. So what we'll jump in. Yep. No, that's .NET 9. I just happened to run in dev container because I didn't want to install .NET 9 on my base system, so I could show you the two different. That's any, so it will set to the default to the amount of CPU cores you have as its maximum parallel. You can stage that down. There's a flag to do that as well. But yeah, native .NET 9 feature. Cool. Alrighty. Now I've used most of my time on that. Let's quickly run through the next one. So, and my terminal's over this side now. Thank you. So we'll just zoom in. Okay, workloads. Has anyone here actually used workloads with .NET 8? One person. That about sums up the general gist of how people have used workloads. What workloads are work sets, sorry. What work sets really are for is kind of installing a set of features all at once. So Aspire initially was a work set. Now it's part of its own SDK, so you don't have to worry about that. But you do have workloads with things like the Android system, iOS. So it lets you kind of get all the things you need for that all at once. But what we can do with this is, in the new version, we can now manage these by setting updates to specific versions. If I mistyped something. I'm mistyping it. Yeah, there we are. Workload, not work set. Keep getting confused. So what you can do is you can set now specific versions of those workloads, and you can say, okay, I want to do version 9.0.1 for all of these, and then it's going to go ahead and make sure that all of the manifests for those workloads are of that version. And then you can do things like stepping back version or stepping forward version. And this is really good to keep your developers all on the same page. So if you are doing your Android development and you want to make sure that everyone is sitting on the same pinned version, you can set that version and then you don't have to set it again. So now anytime you say install a workload, it's going to install to that pinned version. And then you can do the .NET workload history, and this will actually show you all of the different changes for each of the workloads and what has changed over time. But there is a bit of an issue where I tried to do this to .NET version 8, and most of these work except for the very last one, which fails, and then everything rolls back. So because there's one inconsistency in one of the packages and it decides, no, I'm not going to show you, and the demo is not going to work. So, but generally, this seems to work pretty well. There we go. Whatever the metadata workloads for that one just decides I don't like life and I'm going to not work. All right. Now, to move on to the last demo, I'm going to go into the terminal. Question? Oh, I'm out of time? That's what time? This will take 2 seconds. So, I will just quickly SSH into this box. All right. So, with .NET, we have the ability to publish directly into containers. So we don't need to call Docker or anything. We can just call .NET publish and publish out into a container registry. But it helps if I'm in the demo folder. There's a bit of a problem with that when we're running our own registries, because sometimes we might not have done SSL. And not everyone really enjoys SSL. I know I don't particularly enjoy having to do SSL in my own home lab. It's not great. But what we can do now is we can set insecure registries. And there we go. So I'm running a container instance within, whoop, not that one. Where's my export? There we are. So I'm running a container instance up in Azure at the moment, which is running a registry. I've now set that to this .NET container insecure registries. It's just a list with semicolon separate. And now what I can do is I can now run and publish this directly to it. So just by adding that command line, and there's another part to the Docker CLI, you need to go and add an insecure registry. When you do those, you can now push containers to insecure registries without having to worry about SSL. And there we go. That's what I want to show you from the SDK updates.